Alright kids, on the same weekend that Black is King dropped, people had the nerve to get on Beyonce's internet and refuse to acknowledge black women. This past weekend, American Vernacular English, or simply AAVE, so I don't have to say the whole thing, was brought up, and it served as a teachable moment about black culture and cultural appropriation. Well, whether culture can actually be appropriated has been debated for a while, and based on what I've seen on Twitter, a lot of black people would say, yes, it can. Now, culture is defined as the behaviors and beliefs characteristic of a particular social, ethnic, or age group. And before I continue, can black people appropriate culture? Yes. I may have river danced out of context in the past, but would I ever wear like lederhosen? No. There's levels to this. Culture is something that is shared, but as you'll see today, there's a difference between wrongfully using it and willfully abusing it. Black culture, the way we communicate, express ourselves, our presentation, is often used to deny us rights, respect, and resources when we use it. So, today we're going to talk about black culture, including AAVE, because black people drive whatever they want to call it now, internet culture, stan culture, pop culture. Pop quiz, when was the last viral dance craze that was created by a non-black person? Was it the Macarena? No, for real, I'm asking because I would have to look this up.
I feel like it's a very fine line between genuinely calling out a creator that's using AAVE or the blaccent for like putting it on for comedic purposes versus like quoting something. You know what I mean? Like the Nicki Minaj thing of big boobs. Child, anyways, like that's a meme, obviously. So when someone's quoting that, or when someone says like period, cis, whatever, snatch, all that it's very much like internet culture. Like stan Twitter, like stan culture.
This is Kombucha Girl, TikTok sensation, who was trying to explain why she and others use certain terms in slang, likening what we know to be AAVE to stan culture and quoting memes. The floss, backpack kid is white. Okay. Now black Twitter already went in on Kombucha Girl, so there's no need for me to pile on, but she was completely unaware of the fact that our grandmothers and aunties have been saying sis and chow forever. As if these things just ended up on the internet without a source. They came from AAVE, which is simply Black English and was referred to as Ebonics once upon a time. AAVE comes from the slavery era in the United States when black people were forced to learn what would be to them a foreign language, as they were not formally taught American English because they were denied an education. So black people came up with their own linguistic style that would be an extension of what people call proper English, which isn't even the King's English. It's like South African English, Australian English, and American English, but it was AAVE and its dialect that found it necessary for research and studies to show and prove that when black people speak it, it doesn't mean we're stupid. Therefore, AAVE deserves respect. There's rules, there's order, there's structure. Non-black people may be flippantly using it now, but native speakers know when others are using broken AAVE, as non-black people may not have been immersed in this language, and they regularly use it wrong. Also from the slavery era was Jim Crow, created by Thomas D. Rice, who based his character on what he saw and heard from the enslaved singing and dancing on the fields and plantations. White people got fame and fortune from minstrel shows, while black people were being dehumanized and ridiculed for the sake of entertainment. Something I need to mention is this idea that the respectful or disrespectful use of another culture comes down to a person's intentions. Now, I'm not going to say that someone who uses or abuses another's culture is racist or what they do is racist, but we hear this intentions argument thing when it comes to racism. Whether racist things happen accidentally or not at this point may not even make a huge difference, because either way, racism causes damage to black, brown, and native people, and there will be a cost associated with those racist actions or inactions. So when I got into a car accident, there was damage to be reckoned with and a cost to pay, and I was at fault and cited as such. What never came up was if I intentionally hit the other driver's side view mirror. And if I did, mental health professionals should be involved instead of the police. Now, much of the cultural appropriation debate collides with appreciation. Non-black people clearly enjoy black culture, but where appreciation comes in is when people learn what others' cultures means and where it comes from, and for others to include us when you participate. More on that later. We see the same thing with black hairstyles. Black women went to covering their hair because of racist laws, to braiding their hair in order to preserve it and to deal with the harsh sun while working out in the fields, to straightening their hair in order to assimilate because white people made fun of how black hair kinks up. Now, white women are starting to wear boxer braids because they like them. Then it becomes trendy. And black women don't get credit for any of this. You know, there are still black kids who can't wear their hair natural to school or participate in graduation ceremonies because of dreads. The bigger issue is that white people, being the majority, could put on black culture, often as a costume, with no repercussion, and then take it off. If the worst you can get is a scolding from black Twitter, then congrats. The reason why non-black people aren't getting passes or passing grades due to black culture is because they're not properly citing their sources. Where's the references page? Look, rap gets attributed to black people, and it should, but we don't get anything for creating rock, even though there's a clear link between blues, jazz, and rock and roll. We know black people invented the first two, but Bill Haley, who recorded Rock Around the Clock, gets credited with the first rock song? Like Sister Rosetta Tharpe wasn't killing it like clockwork before that? Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls of Fire. God bless Little Richard. How people gonna skip straight to Elvis like he didn't become a thing only because record execs wanted the white Negro? Chuck Berry was there the whole time. And you know who inspired Chuck Berry? Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Speaking of Elvis, Eminem is a decent example of a white person who can do black music and use it to get wealthy. Eminem acknowledged this. Eminem gets so many passes because he does his thing in the truest essence of hip-hop culture, which is an extension of black culture. You know who else gets passes from black people? Nike. Look, I'm not going to make them out to be better than they are with, child labor across these, but they know what black culture means to their bottom line. See Michael Jordan. With that, they openly backed Kaepernick and Black Lives Matter. This could very well be under false pretenses, but they at the very least learned from Timberland, who tried to distance themselves from black kids in hip-hop culture, the very same black culture that raised their profile. Back to Nike really quick, they played Allison Felix after she got pregnant, and that's what this is all about, right? Black women getting the short end of the stick. Black culture, the very thing people refuse to acknowledge, is brought to you by the hood. The same impoverished conditions that's difficult to escape and white women won't visit is now used as their go-to adjective in order to describe their butts after putting on Lululemon leggings. Focusing on that thing has always been a move for brothers and sisters alike. Next thing you know, they're posting it on the internet, trying to accentuate that thing, speaking with their blaccent, and then black people invite them to the cookout for doing nothing. What kind of potato salad with raisins are we suddenly accepting, black people? This is not a melting pot where cultures blend together and races, it's a salad bowl, and where black people can maintain our identity, our color, our flavor. We may not be the main ingredient, but we influence everything up in here. We are the seasoning. At the very least, Kombucha Girl said Nicki Minaj's name during this whole thing. She was wrong in that regard because child, sis, and all of that didn't start with Barbie either. She also took down the video, she apologized, and she defended black women who had a problem with what she said. She even shared that she wasn't trying to explain or trash anything, but respond to something others were saying to her. This was a learning experience for all of us. When she said that she would point to black creators in order to provide education in these matters, I started reading up on AAVE just in case I missed something. I didn't. As I said earlier, culture is shared. It should continue to be that way as long as it's done right. So kids, I pass it to you, and we're gonna be all right. Haircut.